Hello YouTube and Patreon, this is Nathan P. Butler, and this is our project update for the month of November of 2021. Please forgive any toddler sounds in the background. This is my one opportunity to record here before the end of November, so I need to get this done now, even if he is a little bit loud sometimes in the background here. Obviously not a super productive month. You may have noticed that from YouTube, and probably could have predicted that from the last of these project update videos, because as of the last time we did one of these videos, I was having trouble speaking and I was ill. Well, that continued for a while. So we're going to dive into exactly what has been released, what progress has been made on the book, which is a ton, and that sort of thing here in just a moment. Just bear in mind, there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as new releases goes. First, let me thank those of you who are backers over there on Patreon. That is, of course, patreon.com/NathanPButler. We, of course, have those three tiers. We have the travelers through the Butlerniverse. Those are the folks who get thanks in videos like these. That is the $1 tier, including Levi Bond, David Bittner, if I'm saying that correctly, I believe I am, John, with no anything else, just John, Casey Yuri, Kai Jacoby, Bon Linez, Travis Cook, Caleb Owens, Justin Richard, Preston Ellis, Jeremy Goss, Ben Abrams, Michael Torson, Jacob Kapoor, Tony Jenkins, Kevin Kriener, and Austin Pierce. Up from that, we have the $5 tier, where folks get the thanks, but also wind up getting access to those audio commentaries that I produce. We are now over 100 of those for the Clone Wars, plus the 4 from Forces of Destiny, so quite a few of those available for those who decide to jump in at that tier. The Citizens of the Butlerniverse, the $5 tier. That includes Pavel, I may say this wrong, so let me know, Pavel, if I'm saying this wrong. Gerasimov, or is it Gerasimov? I'm not sure if it's a J or a G sound. I think it's a G. Gerasimov. We have Story Mode, Craig Clayton, Matt DeRochers, Travis Taylor, Walker Langstrat, Joey Zitzman, Stephen Malicia, Robert Medina, Bobby Craig, Jeremiah Mustard, Jaina Hunt, and Aaron Melzak. Then finally, we have the Nobility of the Butlerniverse. That's that $10 tier. Those folks also get access to those exclusive Q&A videos every single month and get to be the ones asking the questions on those videos. Though not everybody necessarily always takes advantage of the ability to ask the questions. Just many tend to watch. Those folks include Sky Tri Palace Mister, or however I'm supposed to say it, SKYTRYPALASMR, Joe Balich, Connor Steierman, Jeff Rabjohns, Matthew Hardesty, Kyle Pellegrini, Innes, Jonathan Comfort, Sam Howard, Andrew Bettis, and Benjamin Handelman. As you can see, my voice is still not fully up to par, but now it's mostly because of gunk in my throat, not so much like it was before. I don't even know how to describe how it was before, but we'll get to that, I'm sure, in just a moment. So, one thing to note here for the Patreon stuff. You may have noticed that in talking about, the thanks here and everything, meaning in these videos, I did not mention the thanks in A Saga on Home Video 2nd Edition on the Patreon credits page. That is because anybody coming in new at this point is not going to be on that page. The cutoff to have been on that page was October 31st of this year. I went through, grabbed everybody who's been a supporter all the way up to that point, made sure they were actual paid supporters, not freeloaders, basically, who jumped in and then jumped out before anything could be, charged, even if it was the $1 tier or whatever. Make sure everybody is on that list. And those who did use a username but told me their real names to use, those have been included. Those who did not, they're included by their username, as I mentioned previously, because that page is now locked down. More on the locking down of pages for the book here in just a moment. So what's come out on Patreon since the last project update, which was back on October 24th? We've had 2 new commentaries. That is Clone Wars Missing in Action and Clone Wars Point of No Return. Those were numbers 100 and 101 in the Clone Wars commentary series here. Those were released on November 1st and 15th, respectively. And then on November 13th, we also had the Nobility of the Butlerniverse exclusive Q&A episode go up. That was number 47 in that series. Of course, most of my stuff is on YouTube, and what has come out on YouTube since the last of those project updates? Just this project update, which doesn't count because I'm recording it right now. I've been sick. Everybody in our house has been sick. Nothing else has been recorded, except for that Patreon Q&A video. In fact, basically, well, let's get into it here, because there's nothing really to speak of for the YouTube stuff, and the book is the big stuff, which we'll get to in just a moment. So, basically, I had been sick as of the last time we had the video. My son had been sick first, then my wife started to feel sick, I was feeling sick. So my son is basically better, it would seem. He was ill first, fever and all kinds of stuff, and double ear infection. He seems to be okay. My wife is still feeling a bit ill. As for me, when you saw me last, I thought I was on the upward slope. I was apparently on the downward slope when last we spoke, when I could barely speak. I eventually got to the point where I could basically not speak hardly at all. Constantly coughing, especially in the evenings. And the coughing led to pain because it caused pain up here constantly, for whatever reason. And I had hurt my back at one point a while back, thought it was healed. It's kind of aggravated, I guess, doing some yard stuff around the same time that I was starting to feel sick. And the coughing, very convulsive coughing, led to my back hurting quite a bit more. It just kept aggravating it. So at this point, my voice is mostly back. I said I still have the gunk in my throat. I'm still kind of wheezing a little bit, and I'm still coughing, but not as often, certainly, and not as deeply, not as convulsively. However, my back is still very slow in getting better at this point, so I'm in pretty much constant pain at this point. Turns out I had a sinus infection, among other things. If my back doesn't start feeling better soon, I think one of the things I'll be doing over the semester break is going and getting that checked if I don't do it before then. But I think it's just aggravating what was already an issue so that when I cough, it just made it hurt like hell every single time. But because of that, I didn't record much in the way of video stuff. There wasn't many opportunities to do that anyway. The first opportunity when I was sort of sounding better was last weekend, which is when I got the Nobility of the Butler video recorded and done, but that was all the time there was to do anything that day, except for stuff outside of recording, like working on some book stuff. And I have not had the opportunity to record commentaries because I'm concerned about the coughing, right? Because a commentary needs to be recorded basically in one take. If I cough and I cut that out, it's got to be cut with dead air so it still stays aligned to the episode, which is a tricky thing to do, but I'm going to have to do more recording for the commentary sometime soon because I've only got one episode, which is Revival, the beginning of the Shadow Collective arc of the Clone Wars. I've only got one more commentary that is recorded, edited, and ready to go at this point. I've got to start recording because I don't have the commentary recorded yet for December 15th. So I've got to do that here within the next few days. Hopefully he will fall asleep at some point early enough in the night for me to just belt out a few more of those. That is, of course, where the next commentaries are going. It's going to pick up the Shadow Collective arc throughout December and January and then keep on going from there. The big stuff, though, as I'm struggling to breathe, the big stuff, though, of course, is the book. And on that front, I have very good news. Very good news. As of today, well, actually, as of last night, I should say, as of this last, few days, this weekend before Thanksgiving break, every single body chapter of a Saga on Home video is done. Done. Totally done. Nothing else to worry about. So we're talking about the introduction, the afterword, the preface of all 3 volumes, and then all 19 body chapters across the 3 volumes, all done. About the author page is done. Also by the author page is done. Starting like with the front matter, you've got the kind of the interior title page, that is done. Legal page done except needing the ISBN numbers. I can't do anything with the ISBN numbers until the ebook version is already uploaded because that's when they will give the ISBN numbers to go with it. Dedication is done. Patreon credits page is done. The only things basically still needing to be done at this point on the actual files is that as of today, I am finishing up going through all 400 plus episodes of From the Star Wars Home Video Library to find everybody who's been thanked in those episodes for having provided an item or pointed me to an item or whatever, to make sure they are thanked in the acknowledgments. Once I get the acknowledgments page kind of pinned down and worked out and formatted and everything, that will let me know basically how many pages of front matter there is and whatnot. And that'll give me a chance to go through and sort of align the pages to make sure that every new chapter, basically, or every new section, whatever, is starting on a right-hand facing page, and that the page numbers have odd-numbered page numbers on those right-hand facing pages. I will sort of plow through and make sure that's the case. If I need to add some page breaks, that's fine, to kind of get it to where it needs to be with that. Once I have that, I will have the final page numbers for the beginning of each chapter, and can put the page numbers onto the tables of contents for all 3 volumes. At that point, I will also have a final page count, for all 3 volumes, not just, you know, just pages of content, but like even with the front matter, back matter, all that kind of stuff, which will then allow me to start working on the covers. The pictures are taken for the covers. I know which ones I'm using. I have a general idea of what I want to do with it. I just can't start anything in Photoshop without that final page count. But that page count is coming very soon as I get that last stuff with the acknowledgements page pinned down, which is the same across all 3 volumes. Basically, once that is done, it's just a matter of the actual getting the process rolling on the Kindle Direct publishing thing that used to be CreateSpace. So my understanding is what I'll have to do is basically upload the digital files that are going to be ready for Kindle. It's going to be what's referred to as a print replica Kindle ebook, which means it'll work on the Kindle app, it'll work on a Kindle tablet. It will not work on a Kindle e-ink reader like the Kindle Paperwhite that I have, right? That uses an e-ink screen. That's in order to preserve the layout of all the pictures and everything. More on the pictures in just a second because I haven't updated picture count for you. Then once that's uploaded, that should give me the ISBN number to set up for print copies. I know I'm going to be doing paperback copies of each. I believe Kindle Direct Publishing now allows hardback. I need to look into that and see what options are available for that. My guess is if I do that, that's another set of 3 covers to do, but probably just with slightly different dimensions is probably all that it is. So just kind of waiting to see for sure on the hardback side. But then once all those are up, then I basically have copies sent to me, go through, double check, make sure everything looks good. And that's mostly just like page counts and make sure there's nothing weird with like text crossing over itself or the formatting got all wonky or something like that. Make sure that looks good. And assuming that it is, click the switch to make it publicly available and it's out, right? So my hope is by mid to late December, that process will be done. Probably the biggest time sink aspect of it is just going to be the waiting after I actually put the files in for the proof copies to get to me for me to check. Atlanta area, pretty decent place to be able to get stuff from Amazon fairly quickly, but I'm not entirely sure where those are actually printed through the KDP stuff. I think it's Kentucky, maybe. So it kind of depends on how long it takes to go back or to get here from there. What this means, a couple of things, is I can give you a final picture count finally. So by comparison here, the first edition of A Saga on Home Video back in 2017 had a total of 323 pictures. That's a lot for a single volume. However, that is nothing compared to the final picture count. The final picture count across all 3 volumes of A Saga on Home Video 2nd edition, 1,550, for a grand total of a net gain of 1,227 pictures since the first edition. Yeah, it's a lot. So thicker volumes, 3 volumes. I think they're all thicker than the original. They're they're very close. I know at least one of them is quite a bit thicker. But 3 volumes, all full color now, and over 1,500 pictures. Halfway on the way from 1,500 to 1,600 on the picture side. So big stuff here as far as picture content goes. And part of that is a lot of different images, some new, quite a few new products, but also stuff like making sure to show like the disc labels for everything and stuff like that. You're trying to sort through copies of stuff and be able to recognize them by the disc without necessarily the packaging and all that kind of stuff. So that is huge. So that is one thing to know. The other thing to know is this does mean that because this will probably be available before the next of these monthly updates, I would urge you that if you have any interest in picking up the first edition of A Saga on Home Video off of Amazon, now is the time to do so. Because as soon as the 2nd edition is available, the 1st edition will not be. I'm not going to let that confusion exist out there. I will be pulling it out of circulation. So if you want the old grayscale single volume 2017 version, grab it from Amazon ASAP. If you are waiting for the full color 3 volume 2nd edition, worry not. It is coming soon. It should be in the month of December. I'm guessing mid to late. I don't know if it'll be in time for anybody to be able to pick these up for Christmas gifts or anything like that. That I cannot say. My goal is to spend this Thanksgiving break being very, very, very productive. Book productive, cleaning around the house productive, finally playing some games I've been wanting to play productive, spending time with my son productive, but he's always with me, and fingers crossed potty training productive. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, from a book standpoint, the writing part of it is done. Literally the only thing left to be done on the actual book stuff is all that little nitpicky technical stuff just to make sure the files are ready to go and then get that process going. So that's huge. That is huge. So in that sense, I guess being sick helped some because it meant that I wasn't spending time doing more recording and stuff like that because I just couldn't to do it. So that'll be coming soon. That's going to be a big weight off my shoulders. And then, of course, the next thing for me project-wise after that is just starting to work on that Excel file that's going to catalog the collection here, but also provide something that I can share to the community if they want to use that to keep track of their own collections as well. But that's quite a ways off. That's just something I'm going to start tinkering around with once the book is out. Beyond that, my hope is in the next few minutes to get a few new episodes of From the Star Wars Home Video Library recorded so that before the next of these project updates, you'll see at least hopefully 3 more of those, 2 on kind of tangential topics, 1 about a particular variant / error that we will see. And then, like I said, in the near future, get some more commentaries recorded so we can have those sort of preloaded for Patreon. I had preloaded a bunch. I guess I'm glad I did because of being sick and everything. But now I'm down to just 1 left that is ready to go. I got to get back to recording on those again. So with that, if you're in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you will all be excited to see the book coming before, hopefully, the next of these updates, if not right after the next of these updates. When the book comes out, I, of course, will post an announcement video. I will also post, like I did before, sort of a call for questions for those who have questions about the book, to do a video answering questions about it. So, it should be a nice, strong end to 2021 as we get ready for what is hopefully going to be a less chaotic 2022. But thank you all for your interest in the projects, particularly the book and on Patreon, and I will catch you in a month.